How do I begin flirting with women I don't know? If you're talking about face-to-face, like you're out somewhere and you want to talk to a woman, you generally don't worry about that much the first 2 to 5 minutes of a conversation. Sometimes you don't even really need much of that at all. If you're just like meeting somebody out in a coffee shop or at like an event and you guys talk for a few minutes, those women are not expecting you in those types of scenarios to be very, very flirtatious. They understand it's the middle of the day or you're at a class or an event or a hobby or a running club. Like they don't need you to do that. Just having the courage to walk up to them and introduce yourself is really attractive in itself. It says, I have confidence, I value myself, and I go after what I want. And then I think just extending an invitation to do something later is a form of flirting, right? If you look a woman in her eyes and say, hey, listen, I gotta get going, but this was really awesome and I'd love to hear more about X, Y, and Z. Come grab a drink with me. I'd like to get to know you better. She understands what's going on. And at that point, it's like, here was a cool guy that had the courage to come say hi to me. We had a decent enough conversation and he's asking me out. And you combine those 3 things, you're going to get a high rate of success. And I think that if you do want to flirt a little bit, probably the safest ways out in like a non-nightlife environment, some moment where you tell her what you like about her. Like I had a client who sent me a recording and they were talking for 5 or 10 minutes. And then he asked her about books and she says like, I am a crazy reader. Like I have so many on my backlog, but like I just am consuming a new book like every week. And he really liked that. He's like, hey, that's awesome. Me too. I totally love that you're a book nerd. And like you could hear on the recording, she was like, haha, thanks. Like, yeah, all it takes is 1 or 2 moments where it's more so about the intention, right? Look her in the eyes and say, that's awesome. I think it's really cute that you're a book nerd. I am too. I like, am reading fiction every chance I get or whatever. Then she's like, all right, cool. This guy's not afraid to show me that he's finding me desirable. And that's as much as you need to get a number and get a date outside of a nightlife environment. In a nightlife environment, it's mostly going to be you start a conversation and then you want to focus on getting physically close and maybe having a few moments where you physically connect, where you're like, oh my God, I never knew that this place could be so amazing. Tell me all about it. Okay. And you put your hand briefly on her shoulder and you let it go. Same thing. You could have a moment where you tell her what you find attractive. But then also I think in nightlife, one way to kind of flirt is after you guys have been talking for 10 or 15 minutes, go somewhere else in that venue with her. Ask her to get a drink, sit down at like some couches, just somewhere outside of where she's around all her friends and in the middle of everyone. So you guys have more of a one-on-one dynamic. And just like taking the lead to be like, I want to spend some time with you, and then sitting close and having a more private discussion is a level of flirting and closeness in itself. And that's where, again, you can keep getting a little bit more physical. You can get a little bit more jokey with your words and have some sexual innuendos, especially if you guys are 15, 20, 25 minutes into a convo. But yeah, that's the gist of it.